Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. So audience members, you're in for such a special treat. Corina does something that not very many people do for women. And I'm gonna have her tell you what it is because I really want them just to hear your voice first. Okay, Corina?
Oh my gosh, Jenny, you are the best. Thank you so much for having me here. You are such a light. My name is Corina Sanchez. I am a mom of three. I am the founder of Moms Who Leverage, and I am on a mission to break the cycle of moms feeling completely under-resourced, overwhelmed, and moving them to a place of overflow.
Oh, I love that. So the when we talk about overwhelm, what does that mean? Because I don't think I don't think we acknowledge that too much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'll give you some context as to how this all started because in reality, this is something that I have been working on for years and I had no idea. When I think about the example that I had growing up, my mom was tireless. I mean, like, put the Energizer Bunny to shame. And there was a certain nobility around it, right? Like, she was the kind of person that could pour from an empty cup. She didn't need to like slow down or rest. She could just keep on going until she got sick. Super, super, super sick. But even then, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer at 47. My youngest brother was just 5. There was so much that she still had to live for. And I think if you would have asked her in that moment, like, how are you doing? Are you overwhelmed? Do you need some extra support? She still would have said, I'm fine. Everything's fine. So when I see people who are in this state where they're like very much in survival mode and they're really more in just they're bracing for life instead of living and feeling like they can handle the next day, there's almost like a level of guilt I think that we assign first to I should be able to handle all of this, right? Like my mom could, my grandmother could, or all these people around me seem like they have it together. And what I find so interesting is that I don't see this in other areas of life. So by trade, I am a consultant. I've worked in internal consulting in the tech industry for 15 years at some major names like Microsoft. I currently work at SAP. And the real benefit of being able to come from that world and move into this one is that I had a front row seat as to how they scale. And they always look at capacity. And it's like in motherhood, we're like, capacity is not a factor here. We're just going to keep going from this seemingly bottomless pit. And it's such a fallacy.
Oh, I love you calling that out. I love you calling it out because it is a fallacy. This wonderful dream world of how you can all have it all as a woman. You can have a career that's flourishing and reaching and fulfilling you and be a wife because that takes energy, y'all. Let's be honest, okay? I love you, my husband of 32 years and together almost 40. And it takes energy, folks, okay? More than your kids sometimes. And then, you want to have wonderful children were you to make that decision to become a parent. And you have your coaching clients. And you may also have aging parents on top of it,
Yeah.
right? So we're supposed to be able to do it all and have it all. And you're like, no, that's a lie.
I think it's a really compelling lie because who doesn't want to have it all? Like, no one is like, I'm really willing to sacrifice happiness or time with my children or whatnot. But there's this false equivalence that having it all means we have to do it all. And it's not just that there's like this false equivalence. I think we've adopted this narrative or this, we've almost internalized this belief that we can have it all after we've proved ourselves by doing it all. What's really ironic, though, is that that leaves no capacity or energy to actually enjoy the things that we are in pursuit of. And I mean, after my mom passed, it really broke me wide open as to question what was all this for? Like, where all of this pushing, all of this like pouring amounted to what? And that's not to take away from what she did. Like, she was such an incredible mom, such a giving person. But I so often think, man, if her being more resourced, like if her being more supported meant that we would have been able to enjoy her longer, that she would have been, what are the areas that she was really irreplaceable in? Her presence. All of the other stuff, in great majority, could have been done by someone else, but she was really hesitant. I think she thought that there was that with asking for help, with inviting someone else to do in some of these things, then there would have been a loss of control.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that understanding that regardless of whether or not it's the Western influence or our cultural backgrounds where women are expected to always be last, right? The moms are last. Everybody's ahead of her. Whether it's any of that kind of stuff. What we're trying to have people understand is that there is more you can actually get done if you're asking for help or giving away the control of the help. I mean, if you look at this, what is it, the typical idea of a man who owns a company, he's not doing everything. He's delegating everything out. He might be the ideas person, but he hires someone else to implement. He usually has a personal assistant and a secretary on top of that, and a bunch of other people that he delegates to do the things that he wants done. And why can't we be like that?
It's so wild, right? Because there's such a magic that who you can the version of yourself that you can step into when you're resourced looks completely different than the version of yourself that is that's running on fumes. And I think we forget that. Like we forget they're not this it's not just it's one person who's maybe doing a bit more, like whose output is more. The energy of that person is totally different. The quality of their ideas, the things that like if I think about this so much, there is such an incredible women by nature are able to take something, they're able to take raw material and literally make life out of it.
Yeah,
It is stunning. It is breathtaking when you consider the power that women have. But for the full essence of that power to come to the surface, they have to be resourced. And we really deny ourselves like the full gift of experiencing our own brilliance and our own magic and all of the women around us. Like I often think about what version of my mom did I not get to meet because she was so overworked and constantly running on fumes.
I love this because my being a breast cancer survivor, I was where your mom was at when I got cancer. You know, stuck between a husband who had just come out of emergency surgery from cancer 19 years ago, and then a son who was 4 years out of having had type 1 diabetes that came out of the blue, right? And in-laws. That's a whole nother 5 chapters of my life. So all of this, including a lifetime of unresolved trauma that I had rose-colored lenses on, that I wasn't willing to. Well, I didn't have tools to deal with it yet, and it was only in keeping my one of my other kids safe after my cancer treatment was done that I realized, oh my gosh, you not only is your well empty, your foundation is cracked, your walls are not in any way able to hold anything. You've got to do a deep dive into the foundation that the well's sitting on before you can even close up the well, fortify your walls, and then build the level back up again. And I think a lot of times women aren't told that. You know, and even men too. Certain we're put into these containers or rules where we're not allowed to express even feelings, right? And so for me, I want to actually ask you, before we delegate, right? How do we even learn to communicate what we need? For example, I mean, honestly, just doing this recording, I've had to message my various members of the family, husband, please don't let the dogs down the stairs. I just told you not an hour ago I'm recording a podcast at 10, right? So how does one communicate that? Because oftentimes those of us who do all of this giving, we're not actually ever using our voices.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. So I think first off, when it even comes to delegating, part of the reason why so many people get frustrated is that they're jumping in at like step 4, which is asking for help. And if you think about it in a corporate setting, that's not when like extra resources are brought in. You first take a look at, what are we doing today? Where are the gaps today? Right? So if you take an example like the dogs, right? I think sometimes when we ask for help, we're already kind of in a reactive mode. And I had 3 kids in less than 2 years. So there was not a lot of margin for error, if you will. So it became, when I just had one baby, I could kind of get away with like just the texting and the reactive, hey, could you grab this? Hey, could you do this? All of that completely broke down when we had the twins. If you think about capacity, actually, I really loved the image that you gave of the well just having cracks in it. We already had some cracks, right? I think anytime that you add a big shift to life, marriage, babies, passing, uh, it can form these cracks that can be beautiful if they're patched, but if they're not, eventually the whole dam can just give. And that's what happened over here when we had such a big addition. When it comes to so in that space though, I had to build it from scratch. I had to stop asking from a reactive mode, and we sat down and started to think proactively, okay, what would a smooth morning look like? Or in your case, what realistically do I need to account for when I go into a podcast interview? Sound, interruptions, dog, whatever it is. Uh, we the I think one of the juiciest parts of Moms Who Leverage is that there is a playbook for just about everything. This is my playbook for how I prep myself to get ready to work in the morning. It's my workflow playbook. And it accounts for all the things that puts me in my best state. And if we go back to that like concept of, wow, what version of yourself could you meet if you're feeling really well resourced? That version of me, I started to meet her when I made the capacity to like to bring her out to play. So that was through sensory, that was through having certain oils, through having certain like music and playlists to get me in that right uh, state of mind to create. And in that creation, I built a whole business. I became a keynote speaker, all while still caring for my twins, still showing up as the mom that I wanted to be. And that looks different for each of us, but I didn't sacrifice the things that were really important to me, like my values. And I was able to build that capacity, but that only comes from a proactive approach, not a reactive scramble of the text, which is where most of us end up living.
I love that. I love that. And so, okay, so we're going to use real time experience right now, Karina, because
Yes.
like a lot of people look at my family and go, wow, you really communicate a lot. And so we already do the check-ins, and I had given them we've gotten to the point where we'll do we have a family text line where we'll be
Mhm.
like, hey, this is my calendar, and then this is my requests, right? So it's more for me personally, it's this having to reinforce boundaries because they're used to me always putting them first. So sometimes it's that shift that has to happen because I'm not dealing with little kids, I'm dealing with young adults, right? And also a husband who, when the three of them get into their heads, they forget everything that we agreed on.
Ah,
Right, so other than the electrical, I'm now ready to start getting the electrical shock thing because there's so many times I've asked for that. Does that make sense? Minus me
yeah.
just bring the dogs downstairs. That's just one simple example. They're quite capable of being quiet, Karina. So that's not the issue. It's just at what point does it at one point for a person who would want to work with you, do they go, okay, well, I mean, other than me like taking the damn dogs, right? How do we, and asking people to wear slippers or putting up sound, getting myself into a soundproof booth, which is $4,000. What do we do now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I thought I was doing that already. And a lot of moms will say that. I thought I was setting expectations. How does one now, what's the next step besides signing up for your program?
Yeah. Well, so I think one of the almost traps that we can fall into as moms, and especially moms who are used to doing like anticipating,
Yeah.
right? That's part of the irony is that that's part of what makes us really capable of caring for our families, but it also trains them to almost outsource that anticipation to us.
Yes.
Um, so we think, right? Like we think that we are asking for help, but what we're almost asking for in some ways is for them to remind us we're still the
Yeah.
source of information.
Yeah.
And in an absence of having a physical system, of having something that's like on paper, not on your phone, because your phone is yours,
Yeah.
something that you can tangibly like hand off,
Mhm.
you actually end up becoming the walking system.
Ooh. So you mean like I could give them a piece of paper and be like, please get out of the bedroom by 8 a.m. because I have a day to get through. Or,
It's almost like,
yeah.
and I mean, so for example, we have a morning, our mornings are kind of a, not kind of, they're a complex operation because we're trying to get three kids out to
Yeah.
daycare.
I've
And
got twins also, so I understand. Go ahead.
right, yeah. So it's a lot. And they're not at an age where they can do things independently. Like the twins are one, Augie's three. So instead of me being the person that holds it all in my head, we have a playbook that everyone runs through. And it shifted from me asking Sergio, my husband, hey, could you get up and like do X, Y, and Z? He if he is in a bad mood in the morning, which doesn't happen very often, but sometimes he doesn't even have to ask me. He knows step by step what to do. So what I would say in your case, though, that your kids are older, what a gift to be able to teach them.
Yes.
What do they need? Like, I think asking for help is almost more about empowering someone else to ask for help from you instead of you becoming the default. And that's something that I actually started to see with my mom. My mom did a lot of things for my brothers, even as they became older teenagers. And what we had to do, kind of an emergency mode after she passed, is okay, what do you need? Like, what do you have? Shift the not the burden, right? But like shift the responsibility of you doing something for them as to them making an ask of you. And it starts to like ease up all of the things that we're carrying between our ears and makes us someone that can support their success, but not the full, we don't own, we're not responsible for it.
I love this. I love this. All right. So, audience members, we went off on this tangent. I want to tell you that you can also have access to this through Karina's gift. So, what you're going to go to is join.momswholeverage.com/delegate. If you're in the car, come back to this episode with Corina Sanchez, okay? If you're not driving, you can go right down to the description and click on that link. That will be in the description. Please make sure you get that because I'm going to be clicking on that myself. And then most likely probably booking a call with you, Corina, because I feel that this is a system, especially if you have children who are a little older, right? It's essential they learn the system too. And if you have children who are a little bit younger, it's essential you role model this now because I feel that I don't want my kids to become me in the future now. Like I need them to be fiercely independent, not in a I'm trying to break away from you, mom, developmental stuff. More
Yeah.
has a functionally adult. And it's sometimes because they were homeschooled all their lives. So and they became excellent learners. So they're like high excellers in college. One of them's graduated, the other one's going to graduate soon. So it's not that they're not, they love learning, right? I just need to make sure that we're directing them towards a system where they're having that ability to ask for help, knowing what they need first. Because this mom who's undiagnosed ADHD, possibly odd ADHD over here, I am scattered, and I'm functionally scattered.
Girl, yes. Whew. So the other part of the story that I didn't get a chance to cover yet is that both of my brothers are on the spectrum. Both my brothers have autism, fairly severe, as in that they don't live independently. They live with my dad, which is part of the reason why systems became so important for us, because we needed to help them have kind of like a container, something that they could lean on. There's such a misconception, I think, that people who like build systems or who care about them are almost militant, very organized, everything is color coded. No, ma'am. The whole reason why I have systems, I don't think I would actually need them if that's who I was. I need the bumpers. Like, I am not the person that is, throwing strikes every round. I know myself, and I know, like, the whole reason why I have this workflow playbook is that left to my own devices, I will sit down and I will do emails, and I'll do the shuffle where you do the work that you think is important, but it's really just a distraction from the deep, uncomfortable work. But with systems, you can really account for it, right? Like, you can lean, it's almost like a gift from your previous self. I talked to someone about this morning, that for me, systems are an extension of yourself. And I create my systems in my optimal state. And what I mean by optimal state is usually after something just went south. Like, an explosion just happened. We had, I don't know, a blowout in the car, and there was no diaper in sight, much less baby wipes. So then that came, like, that kind of birthed okay, what do we need to keep in the car at all times? The reason why I say that is that we are not we're not tapped into the version of ourselves, that optimal version of ourselves at all times. Like, the version of me that knows how to create a really solid morning playbook, or the version of you that knows how to create a really great, like, podcast prep, that's the version of you right after this call.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not necessarily going to be the same Jenny that shows up next week right before the call. But if you have a playbook to lean on, you can still, like, you can temporarily tap into her on demand, use all of her learnings, and then just and reap the benefits.
Mm. Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. So, my wonderful audience, Karina alluded to a story about the necklace that she's wearing. My audio people, she's wearing this beautiful silver necklace. It looks like a ring. And if you want to go to the YouTube channel, make sure you go log on that so you can see how radiant she is, and second, you can see the necklace. Tell us about the story about your necklace, because I was like, I want to hear about that story.
Yes. Okay. So every morning I go on a walk, and it's my, like, kind of primer to get my ideas moving. I have this very specific necklace. I almost don't even, like, we're just gonna go there. My son had, like, a situation in the restroom, so there were a lot of baby wipes. So the necklace that I typically wear landed in the toilet when I grabbed the pack of baby wipes. Retrieved it, sterilized it, like, it's all fine. But I was not going to wear that necklace today, even though that's the necklace I wear every single day.
Wait, this just happened recently?
Today, this morning, this
I
morning,
love the story. Go ahead.
I wear, like, a lot of gold jewelry, as you can see, but so when I tell you I never wear this necklace, I never wear this necklace. But I love this necklace because it was the last birthday gift that my mom gave me. So I'm in my, like, jewelry container, and I'm, looking at what am I going to wear. And when I tell, like, 98% of the time I wear gold jewelry, but this necklace just, like, pulled me in today, and it was like, no, you were wearing this. I'm like, okay, all right. Listening to instructions. And as I put it on, I didn't really think very much of it, but put it on, went downstairs, looked at my calendar again, because my walk is almost like my primer for the day. And that's when I start to think through, like, okay, what message am I going to land for each one? And it dawned on me, the podcast. My mom wanted to show up for the podcast. And this was, I believe, her way of saying, I'm here. Thanks for sharing my story. You're making good on your promise. My promise to my mom when she passed is that her fight, her story wouldn't be in vain, that it would continue to motivate people. My mom was known for years, like 10 years, as the person who beat the odds. She had stage 4 cancer and continued to live a very full life until the very end. And it was really difficult for me to not just reconcile with the fact that she was going to pass, but man, my mom was all these people's hope. And I don't know what to do. Who are we now? Like, if we're not the family that is inspiring hope, I don't know what that means. As the years pass, because grief is not a linear process at all, I started to realize that like my mom's work wasn't done. It just needed to transform. And in a very real way, I feel like that this torch of strength that my mom carried for her whole life, she passed it along to me as she died in my arms. It was a very surreal moment. I've never experienced anything like that. And I super respectful of all beliefs, but it was that moment when I realized like, wow, this is so much deeper than we can even imagine. I'm not sure like what just happened, but this was the most transcendent experience of my life. And from that moment, I started to carry the strength that she had, but with all the intentionality that I learned along the way, with all of the, I'm the kind of person that'll slow down enough to be like, what are we really doing? And why are we doing this? And that's what I hope to pass on to this role. Like the strength that my mom had, the resiliency of, um, the resiliency of being able to do things, having the grit, right? Because you still need grit, despite having resources. You still need to be able to get through the stuff that life will throw your way. But pairing it with something so much more intentional, something structured, something sustainable, something that can amplify your grit, so you're not relying on grit alone. And as I looked at the circle, like I felt like there was this moment of this is just a continuation. This didn't end. It's just a transformation of her story, and it's now turned into a program that I genuinely hope will help break the cycle of overwhelm for working moms.
Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?